Let me welcome you to my channel. Before we begin the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this post. Wrestling legend Rocky has warned that an impending feud between Roman Reigns and himself may spell the end of Rocky's time with WWE. A scandal involving Jacob Fatu, and to be effective, Reigns must be quite severe, prevents the latter from advancing in their profession, and the reign of the first tribal chief, not present at WWE East at the moment. BL line-based programming, brutal assault on him a few of weeks ago. The striking perspective expertly unveiled seeds that will grow into a clash between Solo Sikoa and Roman, who stole, becoming the chief of his tribe when he was, not being present after WrestleMania 40, but many are also hoping for Jacob and Roman Reigns' battle to come to fruition as a component of the hereditary epic of Fatu's descent from the peak podcast, in which Arky discussed his views on WWE has to reach out to this potential opponent. As he put it, Fatu must punish Reigns so severely that he's had to go on a hiatus and operating room before achieving a successful comeback and defeat him. It is my belief that there will likely come a moment when Jacob is prepared because of the angle that exists between Jacob and Roman. The two kings must arrive. Beside, influence the unique aspects of that. It captivates the viewers when Jacob, anything that, according to Roman, has to, some way to get him out of there, like, you were absolutely annihilated by me, nears the conclusion of your professional journey when it ought to be in. The ambulance need to resemble him in some way. Getting a procedure done for anything. Vince's Arky from Rhodes 43-25 and 44-20. In Russo's opinion, the lineage, the tale, was a boon to WWE thanks to Roman Reigns. Most current issue of the Legion of Joe Russo said that even though lineage acquiring the right to assert it failed to attract new audiences to the show that the business hosts. According to his solid belief, Roman Reigns, no matter how long his faction saga has been, moved WWE's viewership forward. Allow me to reveal anything about the lineage. Not even Roman Reigns could satisfy them in order to attract new show viewers. As a result, Roman and the Bloodline would boost it from 2 million to 3,600,000, returning SmackDown participants to the United States next week on the network. It may be the ideal setting to revive Reigns' career via his championship was costing Solo Sikoa, competing with Cody Rhodes Arky while located in the shadowy locker room. His enormous body covered with his distinctive, he had laid eyes on a black leather jacket. Several conflicts during his lifetime, spanning beyond the world of one's family and the ring. However, this evening, there was a weight in the air. The stillness wall of the chamber was broken only by slight buzzing sound of the arena's lights and the faraway roar of the assembly. Roman controls stood there, soaking in the attention of his hold the office of tribe chief, a designation that Rocky was certain that he had ruined his famous Rocky, my esteemed nephew, I've had enough. Spoken subtly about the lineage. Roman's iron had ripped them apart. Tight control over a dynasty that was once powerful. As a result of the disintegration of family unity, violent fight for control, Romeo's fixation. Their once dominant positions have crumbled. A secret was known to Arky, and the family relationship had to shift as he reclined in his seat. Recollections of a ravenous Roman youth. Rocky's thoughts briefly shifted to a wrestler. Had been filled with pride as he watched his nephew, his ascent to the pinnacle. But now that disappointment had taken its place, the degeneration of the bloodlines had progressed to a boiling point, and the only solution was to depose Roman. Almost all it takes is a knock. JUSO interrupted Raka while she was thinking, seeming conflicted, but resolved to. Commitment has been repeatedly put to the test. His cousin once again, But this time his face represented the cost that the Roman Empire had embraced him. Looming above Jay was an additional, towering figure, younger and more intensely focused on his own. Uncle SEO, Jay spoke in a raspy voice while uncertainty, Archie, we must speak, called out to the two guys, inviting them inside. Alone at the tender age of 32 was now the individual's guardian, but not even his. Dedicated support for Roman was being examined. His younger sibling, who had swept up in the mayhem, Rocky suddenly realized for the downfall of Roman rule, he was indispensable. Been considering Jyoti Archie began, quiet yet brimming with passion. Unless we intervene, Roman will continue. Cause a wrinkled brow on Jay's face shifted. Regrettably, Roman had been seen by both guys. Violence and the concept of betraying him in such a lasting manner appears to have. I know that seems crazy, but Archie wasn't implying simple disobedience. This was more profound, as the potential to alter the whole of their family forever. You insist that we depose Roman? Asking single, his voice bearing the burden. Shocked, like if it were true, Archie nodded. Almost eliminate him from power and terminate his reign, him doubt everything and crush him to the point where he is no longer the head of the tribe, and it is all up to you to carry it out. Bewildered, Jay peered at he was related to by himself. Why? Archie leaned forward and sighed. Due to Roman's greater faith in him than no one else, since Roman is so egotistical that he will fail to notice a solitary player. He must be confronted with this. A lone grip, clenching his hands with Rocky's phrase. His undying devotion had always rested on the loved ones, but Roman had twisted, dedicated himself to a shadowy pursuit, kept up with Roman out of deference. Yet, finally, he felt like he'd arrived at his, an additional pawn in the power of the bloodlines. The idea of sabotaging Romans on behalf of the higher good swirled in his stomach. On my alone, I'm not sure I can handle it, said, his voice scarcely audible over. Archie told you strongly that you may whisper it. It was that the Romans failed to recognize, represents being a family it's unrelated to. Trust is vital for a monarch or ruler. Esteem and affection, which he has disregarded, as well as if we let him to continue down this. Eventually, the road will be completely devoid of family tree. Jay drew forward, reaching out to touch. On Solo's back, we've already given up a lot, considerably on my own Roman. Jimmy is no longer with us. He has changed into someone who cannot be relied upon. It's just you, dude. No one else can. Near enough to get this off by itself. Saw his uncle and brother looking at each other. Stress of the choice he was facing. His whole existence had revolved about demonstrating to his loved ones, and only then to WWE. The galaxy is now determining the lineage's fate. His shoulders, Rocky's gaze fixed upon him, relaxed when he seen the anguish in Solo's. Well, this has nothing to do with loathing. In this Solo, the protagonist, Roman, must escape. No one is requesting that you put a stop to his life. However, you must transport him to an area in which he must restore a location where he is no longer involved. When control alone shut his eyes, he saw of Romans bringing up the global. Success leads to championship. Entertained by the thought of his cousin for quite some time, however, following the Romans had tarnished the purity of adoration, underhandedness, and avarice. If this turned out to be, if he needed to save his family, he would have. I'll do it solo, he eventually said. Rashmi's voice was calm and unwavering. Applauded, his expression a mix of awe and pride and sorrow. It will not be simple. When Roman feels threatened, he will fight back, challenging, but you possess an advantage that he lacks. Dude, you've got heart and the skills to dispatch him with a spirit of compassion rather than animosity. of affection, Jay sent his brother a glance that said, "A blend of calm and concern. We will be present. You're not doing this on your own." In solitude, stood up and inhaled deeply. Larger stature than before. This was, not to mention a mere pairing, this battle was full. Family's future struggle to bring back the damage.